Welcome to a special episode of my Best 11 podcast. Today, myself and Marv are both proudly wearing our England shirts. We're releasing a one-off special. We're not one of these podcasts that's going to keep going and flogging the Euros to death, but we've been engaging with you guys as fans over the past few weeks, and you have been picking your Best 11 for the England first game against Croatia. So myself and Marv, what we're going to do, we're going to go through your team, and we are going to basically give our own 2 cents worth and say whether we agree, disagree, and give the reasoning why. Before we get into that, I just want to very briefly, obviously England, Luton's at your heart, Marv. England, to a full extent, to a certain extent, and just talk us through the first kind of memory you have of watching England and kind of going to watch their first game live.
You mean you watching an England game, going to the game?
Yeah. Well, watching it on TV. Or watching on TV.
I was going to say.
Experience you had of England, really.
Right. So yeah. Again, we'll have to go back a long way, Andrew. It's probably the game where I remember Kevin Keegan dribbling through and scoring. I think he chipped it. I'm not sure if it was against Scotland. No, it couldn't be Scotland, was it? Anyway, it's in the 70s. We're talking in the 70s because my first FA Cup final was the Liverpool Manchester United in 77. So we're talking in the 70s. So probably around about just before. What was it? You're too young now. 78. It was the Argentina World Cup.
78 was Argentina. Yeah, 82 was.
78. Yeah. So just around about there, that was probably my first time experiencing an England game live. So ever since then, I've been an added supporter of England, and I'm not one of those ones who's always thinking that we're going to win it, if whatever tournament it is. I'm a realist, believe it or not. And
we'll get on to your prediction at the end.
And I mean, from a very long time, but I can't actually remember the actual game in question. Sorry.
No. So when you were a kid, obviously kind of growing up and things, I'd have thought probably Spain 82 was the first big one that you really remember, or was it more kind of Mexico? Sorry, was it more 86? And can you obviously coming through as a footballer as well at that time, particularly in 86, starting to come through the youth ranks, was there lots of talk about it just around the youth teams and things like that?
I'll be totally honest with you. It's 78 is the one I remember. Like my very first one I just remember because just remember the confetti or whatever you want to call it on the field in Argentina, and I remember that being Mario Kempes. I think that was him. His World Cup. He scores in a fantastic final against Holland. I think it was something like ended up 3-2 or something like that to Argentina. Really, really like a top World Cup. And the ball, I think it was the ball as well, was 82, it might have been the World Cup ball. It was that Adidas ball, which used to, and then we eventually had them when I first joined Luton, and it was like, oh my gosh, look, that's the World Cup ball, the Adidas, the official ball. That was the ball we were using and training, and when they used to come in to the training ground, and obviously brand new World Cup balls, we used to just get out there and just like hit these balls. Oh my gosh, look, this is in the air, look, just like in the World Cup. And they used to move and that stuff. And so that was the first time when the World Cup had an effect with about a ball, which was like instrumental in making the game even more exciting for us players, because that was the best ball. I mean, up until then, you had your mitre, the one with the little red marks on it and stuff, but it was just a mitre ball. But the World Cup ball itself was the one that made it the more interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. For myself, it would be the 1990 World Cup was the first one. I was 6.
Italia.
Yeah, Italia 90. I remember my dad letting me stay up and watching some of the games, and just the whole thing on BBC, Pavarotti, it was just incredible. But one thing I remember, and some of the listeners may remember as well, was we used to collect the coins from, was it Texaco or Esso, one of those petrol stations.
Texaco or something like that, yeah.
You had your little it was kind of before football stickers ready for my age group and things like that. So I remember my dad used to go in there and he said, "Oh, which ones have you got?" Open them up in the car and trying to fill them all out. It was absolutely fantastic. And yeah, remembering that was awesome.
I'm again showing my age. The Panini book, the sticker book.
I was going to get onto that, and then Panini stickers, and then the Panini stickers throughout the whole time, and even now. I remember I was at university and me and my mate, actually James, who interviewed us on his own podcast, we at the age of 22 still were collecting football stickers. It's a bit less fun then because you can just buy however many stickers you want, rather than, you kind of, when you were a kid, oh, it's pocket money day, I'm going to go down and buy my own one. So when you get a bit older, it does lose a bit of the charm because you can buy whatever you like and buy boxes and stuff like that. So yeah, but anyway, we indulge ourselves. We're here to talk about the best 11 of the listeners. So when I put this out, with suggestions as well from yourself, this was about which game, which team we think we're going to have for Croatia. Now, since then, our number one right back, which we're going to get to, has been injured. So there has been a slight tweak we're going to make to the team. But in terms of this, first up, we're going to play 4-2-3-1, which is the formation that Southgate's played and seems to be playing the most if he's got his full set of players available. Now, he may not on the day, obviously, but this is just why we went off. So, interestingly, goalkeeper, 47% of our fans picked Pickford, and 47% of our fans picked Dean Henderson, and that's out of 60 people. So on Twitter, that's not a bad poll number. Pickford or Henderson? Which one, Marv?
Henderson for me.
Henderson.
Yeah, I mean, Pickford's been the regular goalkeeper in most recent tournaments, and I just feel that Henderson needs his opportunity to come through and have a chance now to stake a claim in a major tournament.
Okay. Does it worry you? Because it worries me. I personally go Pickford. And the reason is it worries me about the lack of first team football. And surely a keeper is playing week in, week out. Henderson has not been doing that at United. Do you want a beat? Does it worry you having a basically reserve team goalkeeper, number one for England?
The way you make it sound is that... And I get what you're saying.
No, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
No, I know. No,
playing week in, week out means a hell of a.
It does. It does. But I mean, I probably would be one of those managers who the press and the whole world would be like thinking, what's he doing? He's not even playing again. I mean, I just like to try and be different in some way and give people opportunity. But it's just the way it's just the way I am, Yes, you're probably right. The lack of games and stuff being involved week in, week out. But I'll flip it and say, well, listen, he's ready. He's sharp. He's not. He's not burnt out. He's not having to maybe think that he's had enough of football. He'd be nervous. Don't get me wrong. But I think, listen, if he had a major disaster game in the Croatian game, then I probably would change it back. Yeah, I made a mistake, but who knows? You're not going to be out after one game. Put it that way.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned burnout there, and this is asking you as a fan to an ex-pro. You mentioned burnout there. COVID. The players have pretty much been going now for, you could argue, 2 seasons straight. I know they had a bit of time off in kind of March, April time, 2020. Which means they've been going now for 14 months straight, you'd probably say. Is that going to be an issue? And is that an issue for all players, just young players, particular positions?
I don't think so. I mean, we'll probably get onto it a little bit later when we get onto the positions more. But I mean, there's some key areas in play and where we have positions where we have some players who are injured or not going to start the tournament. That for me is going to be probably the problem. Should you want to, or should Gareth want to try and include these players in the latter stages of the competition if we do well? So that for me, I mean, I would be like, like we spoke off air, I would be very upset, especially if I was playing, did well, and then we get to the quarterfinals and now Maguire's fit. Like, sorry, Marv, but I'm going to go with experience. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm on the high. Listen, we've got to the knockout stages. I mean, you put me involved me in the squad in the first place, so you think obviously I am good enough at some point to maybe play or start in this tournament. I've started. We've got to go final stage. Why? I just wouldn't make sense to me. So, in answer to your question, yes, probably more so with regarding the players who are not fully fit.
Yeah.
Who are injured are going to be more of a worry for me.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll move into as you're talking about Harry Maguire. What we'll do is we'll go a little bit different to what we normally do on the podcast. We won't go straight to fullbacks. We'll go straight to centre backs. And 83% of our fans said that they would play Harry Maguire if he is fit. And next to him, this was so clear. 84% of them then said they would pick John Stones. So the Harry Maguire poll had Harry Maguire, Connor Cody, Ben White, and Tyrone Mings. 83% said they pick Harry Maguire. The second set had John Stones, Tyrone Mings, Ben Godfrey, and Connor Cody. And again, 84% said that. So it's looking pretty clear that England fans think Harry Maguire and John Stones. So there's two questions to you. Number one, being a perfect world, would you, and everybody was fit, is that the starting pair you'd have? And second question is, with Harry Maguire not being fit, who would you have next to John Stones? If you pick John Stones.
Well, I'll come across that in a minute. But in answer to your first question, if in an ideal world, if everyone is fit for the start of the tournament, yes, I would pick Harry Maguire, and I would pick John Stones because I feel that he's had a fantastic season with Manchester City. I know that in the past people say, "Oh, he's like a little bit like prone to a mistake or whatever." Well, listen, everyone is. I mean, I made numerous mistakes and still went on to have what I would call a successful career where I played over 400 games. So, that's part and parcel of the game. And I just feel like John Stones has been given a bit of a rough time just for maybe a few performances when he first got into the team, and they've gone and won the league this year. So John Stones would start for me. Harry Maguire, if he was fit, yes, I would start him 100%. Those are the two Aaron I would go with.
And second question, who would you start for Croatia?
It's a good question. I really do like Ben White.
As a centre back yourself, what would you want to see? Blood, guts, Terry Butcher style, or would you, or because you're playing next to John Stones, you need that, or because John Stones is a bit more of a finessey kind of player, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think just in the era what we are, we've moved forward so much more now than the Terry Butchers of this world. Not saying Terry Butcher's not a very good centre half here. I mean, I suppose the closest one similar in what you're talking about with blood and guts and throwing everything on the line is John Terry, who played for England. But again, if you look at John Terry, he was very comfortable on the ball. So, and even to that extent where you're looking at that sort of die-hard sort of centre half, I mean, even to today, I suppose the really original player who's going to be throwing themselves on the line, even those players of today are going to have good, comfortable skills on the ball. And I like Cody as well. Conor Cody has been one of those players who started off at Liverpool, didn't quite make, obviously, or break into the first team, moved away, went and got a career and made a name for himself. Now at Wolves, captain, and he can do both. He's aggressive and he can play.
So have you talked yourself into Cody next to John Stones?
I think so. Just because, I mean, like I said, I like Ben White, but I just feel that
he's young. Cody, he's young.
He's young. I got nothing wrong with being young, Andrew. I mean, I got nothing. I just think that Conor Cody is just probably a little bit ahead of him in terms of, obviously, experience-wise.
Yeah.
And also those Scousers. Listen, nothing faces them really. I mean, you can throw them in, and it'll be fine. Nothing faces those Scousers.
Awesome. So we then are going to move on to the right back, which up until recently, Gareth Southgate seemed to have in his 28-man squad. He seemed to have 27 right backs, but now suddenly Alexander-Arnold's injured, and we have a calamity at the area. So. In our poll, Alexander-Arnold actually won with 49%. But second place on 25% was Kyle Walker. Third place on 16% was Kieran Trippier. And Reece James was in fourth place on 10%, which if we're going to go through Alexander-Arnold now being out, that means therefore the fans would naturally, if you got statistics, would pick Kyle Walker. I would have to agree with that. I think because he still offers pace and experience. He's just won the title at Man City, and I trust him more as a defender than I do either Reece James or definitely Kieran Trippier, who I see as more of a fullback than more of a wing back than a fullback. You're shaking your head, which means we're going to pick different right backs. So I've gone Kyle Walker. Marv.
Yes.
Who you going?
Trippier.
Kieran Trippier, just for his free kicks?
No, not just for his free kicks. But I just feel, I know you're right in what you're saying. He's more of a wing back.
Yep.
But I just like Trippier, how he just gets forward. I just feel he's more comfortable on the ball, in my opinion, than
well, playing in La Liga, you kind of have to be.
Yeah.
Not that the Premier League doesn't involve being on the ball, but it doesn't feel like you get as much time in La Liga. I don't think anyway. And he's been over there now for a couple of years now. It isn't just a fleeting journey. He's now set himself as the number one right back of the champions of Spain. I mean, tell me the last time anybody did that. I think I can't remember off the top of my head the last person we had somebody who won a title in Spain. So it must be probably Beckham or McManaman or somebody like that, I thought. So
and going against your reason why I'm saying you're saying, well, you just feel that Walker's a better defender, which he probably could be, but I mean, why are we going there to sit on the heels and defend? No, my best form of defense is attack, and Trippier will be like getting forward. And if we're in the opposing team's half, most of the time he's not going to need to be defending. And if we're going to dominate a game, just on a personal note, I feel that Walker's probably only going to be able to get overlap and just put the ball in rather than being more savvy-minded with the ball.
Okay.
As you probably can notice, the team I probably would have been picked is more like a tiki-taka team.
It's because you've done the coaching badges, so you got that. You've got a different mentality to fans, I think, as well, because you sit a bit more tactically and also because you work with youngsters, and I think that's the other thing as well, that maybe you see a lot more youngsters, and know that's going to come through, especially as we go forward in the team. So left back, there were three options we gave our fans. They had the choice of either Ben Chilwell, Luke Shaw, or I did chuck in player right back instead at left back, just to see if, because there was a lot of talk. Well, you laugh, but there was Kieran Trippier played there against Austria. He played left back. And we even played, was it Ben White played? Who played at right back? Somebody weird played at right back the other day. It wasn't Ben White. It was somebody else. I can't remember who it was. But they're playing different curve balls. But I really think effectively you got the choice of Ben Chilwell or Luke Shaw. I would go for Luke Shaw. I think he's earned it. I think he's shown a lot of character to come through the Mourinho years. And I think that deserves a hell of a lot of credit. And again, I don't think Ben Chilwell's had a pretty good, I mean, he's won a Champions League, but he's not a starter. And I want to see players who play week in, week out. And I want to get away from this mentality personally of we pick the same old England team. No, it's picked upon. Yes, you can do it and you've proven it at international level, but also form. And I think Shaw goes in there with form. Chilwell's been in and out of the team.
No, I mean, that's one I do agree with you. I mean, I was tempted to put Ben Chilwell in there again because I just like how he's on the ball and he's got, I mean, natural left foot, which he can just. I mean, he can pick passes out from deep, from high up the field. He gets forward. I know
he gets goals.
Yeah, he gets goals. Luke Shaw does all that, and for that reason, like you said, he's had a good season and he deserves his opportunity.
Excellent. So we've got Luke Shaw in there as well. So far we have totally different teams actually, and we'll wrap them up at the end. We're now going to go into midfield. So we've now got two players who are playing in pure midfield. Now, I'm not going to say if they're a holder or they're not a holder, because I think this could be up for debate as well. The first one picked by our fans was a choice between Jordan Henderson, Calvin Phillips, or James Ward-Prowse, of which Jordan Henderson came out on top with 56%, James Ward-Prowse on 31%, and Calvin Phillips on 13%. I would have, do you know what? I'm about to talk myself out of this. I wish we'd have gone James Ward-Prowse, but we didn't. Because I think his pass completion rate's incredible. His fitness is incredible. He's one of only two outfield players to have played every second of the Premier League season, which means clearly he's got the fitness and the stamina to fit in 7 games if we make it to the final 8 games in the space of 30 days. But I think he's a baller. I think he's a link man. And I think he can play the ball sideways, forwards, wherever he wants to do. I'd have picked James Ward-Prowse, but he's not a squad. So I would therefore default back to, I'd actually pick Calvin Phillips. And that's because I think Jordan Henderson's fitness is not there. And I think he'll just pick up another injury. The guy has not kicked a ball since February until he missed the penalty on the weekend.
I'm in agreement with you. Henderson, again, is probably similar to the Maguire situation where I feel that you need to take him. I mean, his experience and stuff like that, but you're going to have to go with someone else to start off the tournament. And I feel that Calvin Phillips definitely deserves an opportunity. I mean, I like James Ward-Prowse. I'm surprised that he didn't get an opportunity to go because like you said, he's a decent player, more than decent player.
And with Henderson's fitness, that's what surprises me. With Henderson's fitness, how he's not going.
Yeah, I mean, so are you saying leave Henderson behind?
No, I'm saying take Henderson, but with a 26-man squad.
Which one? Go on, I'm putting this one. Who are you leaving out then? Which one? Are you taking Ward-Prowse?
No, I'd take Ward-Prowse, and I, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have taken 3 right backs. I probably wouldn't have taken Reece James personally. I'd have dropped Reece James out, and I keep I'd actually have Ben White in from the first place because I think when you got Maguire, you need an extra person then. And if you're insisting on doing this, and then if you're insisting on taking Henderson, I get why. Then you have to have an additional one in there. So I'd drop Reece James and bring in James Ward-Prowse personally.
Okay, good point.
So we've both gone Calvin Phillips for the opening game. Next to Calvin Phillips. Now, this is going to be the one that I think is the most difficult to pick. So we're now going to start to have to work out where certain players are going to play. So you got to forward think your team, Marv.
Right.
So they have 4 choices to play next to Jordan Henderson. They had the choice of either Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, Calvin Phillips, or Mason Mount. And I think the big debate is whether or not you want a forward attacking minded midfielder next to Calvin Phillips or Jordan Henderson, or you want a ball player box to box. The fans picked Declan Rice just on 43%, followed by Mason Mount on 39%, and Bellingham got 11%. And I wonder if Bellingham would have got a lot more post his performances in the friendlies, because he actually played pretty well. What are your thoughts, Marv? So you got a choice of Declan Rice, Bellingham, Phillips, or Mount.
Again, just putting it out there, I think the listeners have gone for Rice because he's a safe bet. I think he's more of a case where he's going to be more defensive and hold back than the other ones you've given us to select from. Personally, I would probably, again, how I think attack is the best form of defense. Mount will do both. Yes, he can get forward a little bit more. I'll probably create and try and pop up with a goal here and there, even from that position. So I would go for Mount.
Thomas Tuchel came out the other week and said that he does not think Mount plays best in that particular position because it's similar to what Chelsea play. That's why he plays Jorginho, Kante, or even Kovacic in that position. Does that worry you that you picked him in there? I'm just here to play devil's advocate. No. Does it worry you that you picked him in there and his club manager says it's not his best position?
No, I mean, I've just explained that. I feel that I know literally what you've just said there. And like Rice would probably give you a little bit more of a security, but like I said, I want us to be on the front foot and not the back foot. I mean, I'm not picking Mount because I feel that we're going to be under the cosh. I'm saying that we're going to be the ones taking the games to most teams, and so therefore I want, in my opinion, the most creative and most positive thinking players on the team. And everyone's going to turn around and say, yeah, but you'd have some defensive minded players in there. That's why we've got defenders as defenders and not like
no, but you pick Calvin Phillips. You pick Calvin Phillips to shield, haven't you, to be honest? Yeah. That's what Calvin Phillips is there for. It's not as if you've gone for Mount and Phil Foden there.
Correct. Yes, that's correct. Yes.
You have still got some sort of defensive there. I personally would go for Declan Rice, not because I'm conservative, but we're talking Croatia. I think England need to start.
What do you mean? Hold on. What do you mean we're talking Croatia? What does that mean?
We're talking about England. If we need to start a tournament well, and we've then got our easier on paper games against Scotland and Czech Republic after. So I would play Rice in the first game and see how it goes. And then I'll probably drop Rice and then play Mason Mount for the next 2 games.
I probably could get this wrong, but for me, the Scotland game is going to be harder than the Croatia game. I'm telling you what, you watch. I could be wrong, but Croatia. Everyone's thinking about how they were when we played them in the last big tournament, and yeah, they got some very, very good players. But I just feel that
shut down Modric and they're stuffed.
Huh?
Shut down Modric and they're stuffed.
Yeah, but even I'm thinking the Scotland game was going to be. I mean, there's that rivalry. I mean, it's so close at home. You don't think so? I mean, you think it's going to be like a 4-0 England? Well, we'll see then.
That's exactly what I had in my mind. 4-0 had in my head. 4-0.
Like they said they were going to do that to Iceland. Remember? Yeah.
Who's positive now, Marv?
No, I'm just thinking Scotland. If it's close, I mean, home nations. It could be. Listen, it could be Wales. It could be Republic of Ireland.
Luxembourg 1-0. Luxembourg in a friendly. I'm not worried about the Scots. We're going to stuff them. And you can tell Graham Alexander that as much as you like. You can ring him and tell him that for all I care. Right, we're going to move on. So you've picked, you've gone attacking with Mount, and I've gone Declan Rice.
Yep.
Moving on to, we're now going to go to the front, the kind of three who will now sit behind, who eventually our striker will be, which is pretty obvious who it's going to be.
Yeah.
So now you've got, and I'm going to rattle off a number of players here because I had to give them in terms of, you can only give 4 options in Twitter, but I didn't think that gave the full set of options. So just so you're aware of the players that could potentially play in these positions, okay, is Raheem Sterling, Bukayo Saka, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, and have I said Mason Mount yet?
Well, he's at the back, yeah, for the holding job. Is he
picked him there, well? But the fans didn't. So in the number 10, so this is playing directly behind the striker. They had the choice of Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, and Mason Mount. My thinking mainly was because the rest of them, Saka, Sancho, etc., they play on the wide. So they picked Jack Grealish, came out on top with 45%. Foden second, 33%, and Mason Mount on 21%. Jack Grealish has been likened to the most technically gifted player England have had since Gaza. Mostly because of the position he plays in. Rooney potentially had the same type of skill set, but he had to play in a different role. But Jack Grealish can play in that same Gaza role. So Foden, Grealish, Mount, or unless you want to start shuffling everybody around. Your choice. Over to you, Marv.
I've got Mount at the next to Calvin Phillips.
You've effectively got Foden or Grealish, or shuffle the rest around then.
I would say, 100% before even the squad was announced, I would have definitely Grealish, Foden, and Mount in there in my midfield, 100%.
Oh, so you've gone. So I agree with you. Grealish has to play. He has to start. He has to play. He's gifted, and in both the friendly games, he changed game. He's a game changer, and I know that word can be overused, but he is. He's a game changer. He can pick the pass, and I mean, with the greatest respect, he's also done it for Villa, and in a team like Villa as well. It means that he's going to be able to do it with the hustle, the bustle, being kicked 6 foot in the air, which is what's going to happen to him. He's going to come off, and he came off in both the friendlies with ice packs everywhere because he just gets kicked to pieces.
Right.
But he's used to that. And I think you're going to get that. You're talking about the Scotland game. They're going to go after Grealish. There's no doubt that McTominay or somebody like that are just going to try and kick 7 shades out of Jack Grealish, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I listen, I hope, England do beat Scotland comfortably, but I just have a feeling, I know you keep saying your little 4-0, but I just feel that game could be a tougher game than everyone's thinking it can be. So going back to your point with Grealish is, like, for me, is one of those players where he's come on to the scene and you could just see, like, he's a gifted player who loves to create, loves to express himself, and I love players like that. There's not enough players like that, in my opinion, in the game, and a lot of the time, it would have been a case where that sort of player coming through would have been told, pass it, get it off your foot, and all that, and that's why a load more players of his ability are not around, because I do feel that it's been bashed out of them. When people have said, get the ball off your foot, pass it, you're dribbling too much, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Get your head up and all that sort of stuff. So, it's fantastic that he's going to come through, and I feel that Phil Foden's a little bit similar as well. His dribbling skills are unreal. The things what he can do with the ball, and you need players like that. The more players you have like that in your team, the better opportunity you have got of winning the game, in my opinion. That's just how I think.
We got Jack Grealish in there as a number 10. We then move across to the left-hand side, and we know that I think you're going to agree with the listeners, is Rashford, Saka, Sterling or Foden, and 58% chose Foden, 19% chose Sterling, 15% chose Rashford, and poor old Bukayo Saka, despite scoring his first goal for England against Austria, only got 8%. Foden has to play, doesn't he? And
Yeah,
he has to.
I mean, he I wouldn't say tailed off. I mean, Pep didn't use him as much, did he? Really, going towards the latter part of the season. But like, he's a young player. I mean, he's such a like talented player, and similar to Grealish, his dribbling skills are second to none. I feel that you give him the ball, and it's going to be one of those ones where defenders are going to be scared to put a challenge in him anywhere in and around the box. So, yeah, he was a certainty for me.
Definitely. Oh, I agree. And I love the way that, have you seen his haircut already? His hair, you haven't seen it because you just woken up?
No, I've not seen it yet, no.
He's done a Gaza. He's bleach blonded it. He's gone full on Gaza Euro 96. He's gone full on white, which is quite interesting. And they're quite funny. I do think with Foden, it's really, really interesting to look at from the bigger picture how you can see how young players can develop in different ways. And that's why I think the one side, and we've had this throughout the whole season, the podcast, whether or not you're talking to Sean Dyche, Steve Robinson, Mike Newell, whoever it is, they all say that there are different ways of coming through as a young player. You've got Phil Foden, who basically has sat on the bench, come through the under-20s, 19s, under-23s, working his way through to the Man City starting lineup. And he's got there. You've got Jadon Sancho, who left 3 years ago, to go to Dortmund because he wasn't getting the game time at Man City. He's now in the England squad. And then you got somebody like Jack Grealish, who went out on loan to clubs like Notts County. And he did it, and same as Harry Kane, and did it that way in terms of going out on loan to lower league and working your way through. And they're all in the same squad. So it's really, really interesting to see how you can still get there, but there's lots of different ways to do it. Is that something that surprises you, that all three are still open? And which one would you recommend? Or do you think it literally is a case of depends on your position, the club, or your personality?
I think it has a lot to do with all those things you've just said, but I think the main one for me is the player itself, the player themselves. If they, I mean, those like Grealish, Notts County, and Foden, obviously, maybe not so much, but he come into the team as a youngster, young youngster. So like he showed the potential way where it was a case where they felt his progression and his ability to maybe affect a game was better for them to keep him in-house, as they call it, but still have him in and around the first team training, which happens. I mean, and Kane, even Kane, when he first onto the scene, it was like Millwall, I think, or Norwich. He went on loan to a couple of clubs. And so,
yeah, well, Luton fans, he played in that game that Scott Rundell scored, and Norwich lost the FA Cup fourth round game to Luton.
That's right.
In that game, yeah.
That in itself, these players wanting to play is the main thing for me. Because you get so many players who just want to like sit like at the club. I'm not going to Rotherham or whatever it may be, just to play for Rotherham to get minutes because I'm better than that. I'm at Chelsea. I mean, it's just crazy. And then like after a year or so, they get released, and it's like, again, one of the biggest things managers would do, they would turn around and go, all right, this player's now been released. Let me have a look at him, whether to get him in at the club. How many games has he played? Like, not for maybe his parent club, Chelsea, but how many games has he actually played? I'm not talking about academy. 0. Oh, but look at this player. Like, maybe not probably as luxury or a luxury club maybe, but he's played over 72 games in League 2 and League 1.
Yep.
They've got experience. So that for me in itself that they want to play and want to not just sit there and rest on their laurels or their so-called, obviously, ability or potential, what they're supposed to have, makes me feel that because they want it, they've gone out and got it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And when you were growing up as well as a youngster, you spent a bit of time out on loan a few times. Was it hard? Was it tough? Or
I didn't go on loan. I didn't go on loan.
I thought you went on loan to Aylesbury.
No. That is Liam Barnett went on loan to Ellsbury. I got Liam to
You
go.
went on loan to Aylesbury, so you've never been on loan anywhere. So you've literally
No,
only been a one-man club.
yeah, literally. So I mean, funny enough, I was thinking when I think back, ideally, it probably would have been good for me to go alone. I got into the team when I was 18 or 19, and it was like the old English first division there, not the Premier League. But Mal Donachie and Steve Foster, as most of the Luton fans would know, were like a rock partnership. And when Mal decided to leave, or got the opportunity, shall we say, to go and join Manchester United, which, you know, no one can deny him that, it was a case where, God bless him now, the manager Ray Hartford gave me the opportunity to try and stake a claim with Steve Foster at the back. And like I said, no one has any regrets whatsoever. I mean, it was probably, like I said, a baptism of fire that I'm like 19 years of age and I'm playing in the top division in Europe, and I'm still trying to learn the game. So it was always going to be difficult now when I look back on it. But ideally, probably if I would have got dipped out of the team, and which Ray did, he went and got brought another centre half, but I should have gone out on loan then, probably. But I was still, I suppose, in and around the first team, because obviously I'd played up to 24, 25 games in the first season. And so he probably thought it was better for me to be in and around the first team rather than go out on loan. But like me looking back now, I would have probably been better to go out on loan or come out on loan somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So we are left with the right-hand side of England's front three, or not front three, behind a striker.
Yeah.
We've left everybody with the choices of either Raheem Sterling, Bukayo Saka, Marcus Rashford, or Jadon Sancho. I mean, what a set of players. England are quite lucky at the moment, or maybe it's just because we're English, we think this. Raheem Sterling got 29%, Saka got 12%, Jadon Sancho got 24%, and the winner was Marcus Rashford on 35%. Having just captained his country, the youngest England player for, I think it was about 30 years to actually captain their country. Got 35%, so didn't finish too far ahead. Thoughts on Marcus Rashford? And playing on the right, because I know for United he plays on the left.
Yeah, I mean,
cutting in on your right foot if you're right-footed.
I mean, I know we're going to come to it in a minute, but I like Rashford up top. I just like him as a centre forward. I know, again, they play him on the left. United, is it the left they play him?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's done well from there. But I mean, Sanchez. I love the thought that Sancho, Grealish, and Foden, those three there now, literally.
Sancho, Grealish, Foden, Mason Mount.
Huh?
Mason Mount, Sancho, Grealish, and Foden.
Yeah. You're lucky I haven't got Bellingham in there.
Just stick Bellingham in as well. We'll be fine. What could possibly go wrong?
Listen, you've got. I just don't think Rashford is gonna be bringing enough from there. Sancho, I'm going for Sancho. I'm putting in Sancho, and then I'm putting on Rashford for the last 20 minutes for Kane up top.
So Sterling does not get near your team. No.
It'd be one of the subs. It'd be one
Oh,
of the
yeah, yeah,
subs.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, as in, you haven't even mentioned him. That's the point I'm
No.
getting at. He's not even been
Yeah.
mentioned by you. And I guess Saka's still young. Saka's only really just fully broken through at Arsenal. And yes, he's a
I
very,
like
very
him a
good
lot, though.
player.
I like him a lot. I like him a lot.
Very good player. But I think he's a game changer to come on. And he's the level below Foden, which is why at the same age, Foden gets in and Saka doesn't. That's not to say that Saka's not an incredible player, but Foden's just, I mean, he'll be, if he keeps going with Guardiola, he'll be world class. He'll be Ballon d'Or in 5 years.
Saka, like you said, Saka for me will be one of those ones who come on because I know I'll be able to trust him because just his decision making, which I think a lot of the game is all about, it's just like it seems to be like near on 99.9%. So I know in the latter stages of the game, he's going to make the correct decision to when to release the ball and when not to release the ball. Whereas you got Foden, yes, I mean he's created, and I know that he might dribble and then he's giving the ball away at that certain point. He's going to take more risk, in my opinion, than Saka.
No, I agree with you. I would probably play Sancho. I totally agree with you. I think that people who haven't seen a lot of Sancho, you need to jump on Bundesliga. He had a very average start to the season, but his second half of the season has been incredible. And he shows he plays well when there's one player up front, which is what England are going to do. He's played it all season with Haaland at Dortmund. And that's exactly what England are going to do. I think he's play one player up front. So, no, I agree with you, Sancho, which leaves us with the number 9 jersey. I didn't realise until I looked at the poll for this, there's actually only 2 out-and-out number 9 strikers. Because Rashford, I don't think, is an out-and-out number 9 striker. Or he hasn't been for a long while. It's really interesting. We've only got 2 out-and-out number 9 strikers, which is Calvert-Lewin and Harry Kane.
Yeah.
There's nobody else in the squad. It's intriguing.
Yeah, I mean...
if Harry Kane gets injured, which he can, Calvert-Lewin gets sent off, and we're chasing the game, then what? We're going to play Pep Guardiola's false 9.
Rashford, I told you that's what I know you don't think he's going to have Rashford. Rashford can do that on his own. He can do that. I mean, again, when we say about a 9, someone who's a focal point to hold the ball up, be up there. Listen, Spain did it. They didn't have a no centre forward one time. They played
Torres and David. They had Torres.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you didn't let me finish. See, I said no. In one game, I can't think what game it was. They played. They had like a 6-man midfield or whatever. I mean, there was no.
Oh yeah, Pep Guardiola has played half the season without Aguero or Jesus. Yes.
Well, Spain have done it a couple. I mean, I can't think what game Spain went had no recognised. They had all midfielders in the game, and everyone was just like, again, we talk about formations. It's just like.
Did they win, Marv?
Yes, they did. I can't think who they played. I couldn't think that they played. I think, but not by
Andorra.
Street. But no, but it was a case of where the formation is just something which is just giving people some structure. You don't stand in those positions now, the 4-2-3-1. You don't stand on those positions. Grealish is not going to stay exactly in the middle of those two. He's going to end up on the left wing. He's going to end up on the right wing. Foden's going to be exactly the same. He's going to end up on the left wing.
And that's what you want, intelligent players.
Yes, exactly, because like you're not easy to mark then. You know, you're not going to get, if we go with whoever the Croatia back 4 now, they would normally expect to come up against the outside right back now would be playing against Foden. They're not going to chase Foden all the way across onto the right-hand side of the field playing from that. So that's what you want. You want that interchangeable position.
Yeah, waiting for somebody like Chilwell or Shaw to bomb on. You kind of, do I go there? Do I? Yeah.
Yes.
No, exactly. I agree. So, number 9, who'd you play? Harry Kane or Calvert-Lewin?
Harry Kane all day long. Harry Kane.
It's incredible. I mean, we're recording this, and I knew this would be the case. I'm recording this. The poll's actually still going, but the poll is currently sat at 89% Harry Kane. So we don't need to wait.
No, you can't.
He's England captain. He's finisher. He's actually brought more into his game than he was at the last World Cup, which is the playmaking, the assisting. First player to assist 20 goals and play. I think he's the first striker to have scored 20 goals and assisted 20 goals since Thierry Henry in a season.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know him personally. I don't know anyone who does know him personally. But I'm probably guessing if someone was speaking to him or speaking about it, that's always been in his game. That was probably always been in the game. It's just that it's not been used, and he's probably certain managers will say, look, I don't want you dropping back and just stay up top. Your goal scorer. I got players who can do that, but that's probably something which has probably been in his game as a kid growing up, because you've always seen, even before he became the top goal scorer he did, he had a vast array of finishes, different finishes, chips, curls, side foot. So that's, for me, is like you're saying, shows a technical, gifted player who's got a great awareness of people and the space around him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. So we come to an end. Marv, would you like to reel off, if you can remember, your... I'm doing this to buy my own time. Your best 11, Marv, when you
Henderson. I got Henderson. I'm going to go for right for left. Trippier, Stones, Maguire, if he's fit in ideal. We're going in the ideal world, correct?
Ideal world, yeah.
Yeah. Shaw, Phillips, Mount, Foden. What? This is mine. This is mine.
Yeah, it's fine. Keep going.
Oh, Foden.
I'm shaking my head laughing. I can't believe you played Mason Mount. Keep going.
Foden, Grealish, Sancho, Kane.
Sorry, I interrupt. I shouldn't have interrupted you. I'm sorry. I was shaking my head at you playing Mason Mount, and I think it's bonkers.
Well, you see, obviously you talk to my wife a lot then, because she thinks I'm bonkers.
So next, I've gone for Pickford, Walker, Stones, Maguire, Shaw, Phillips, Rice, Foden, Grealish, Sancho, and Harry Kane. What we're going to do is, when the podcast gets released, we will put out my, as in Andrew's best 11, Marvin's best 11, and your best 11 that you picked. And it is down to you to decide which one will be best to go against Croatia in a perfect world. Which one would you think would pick up the most results? It's down to you to pick it. And then what we'll do is we'll make sure we tag the England FA and Gareth Southgate. You never know. He might be looking. I'm sure he's got a couple of spare hours around.
Is there not any of that, those fantasy leagues? There's normally a fantasy thing where you can pick on, you can join. Let's put them in the teams in. I'll put my team in. You put your team in. We'll put the listeners' teams in. We'll see, and you can get points, don't you, throughout the tournament? Surely there must be something like that.
We'll see if we can work it out. We'll see if we can work something out. But yes, so this gives us a second chance to officially say thank you to everybody for supporting us in our first season. I know we had Enoch on a few days ago, but it was absolutely great for myself to kind of get to know the listeners. And we are going to be back in about 4 or 5 weeks' time. I'll give you guys a hiatus, catch up on some episodes. Enjoy the sunshine if you're in England or in the Northern Hemisphere, and wherever you are listening from, be it England, Ireland, Scotland, Australia, United States, India, Romania, wherever it is you are listening from, we say hello and we thank you. I'm thanking you, and I am really looking forward to season 2. Marv, we've got some awesome things coming up season 2, haven't we? And I just want to finish by letting Marv finish off this podcast.
Yes, we have got some fantastic guests. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean, which we've had them confirmed with myself, but I'm not going to release any names as of yet because I don't want to jinx it. But going back to what Andrew just said, just want to say a big, massive thank you to every single listener all around the world. And it's just been fantastic. It really has truly been something which, I mean, is literally was by chance. Myself being interviewed by Andrew on his podcast, and then him and myself having a chat off air, and here we are now after season 1. So it really has been fantastic catching up with some old friends, some old ex opponents, and like I said, we've got a real busy season 2 ahead of us, and it's going to be absolute fantastic.
Awesome. If you have any names, chuck them at us. Chuck them at Marv. We never know. We might be able to see what we can do.
We're not saying we're going to get them.
Nah.
But like we'll have a go.
Well, Marv will have a go. I've given him Dennis Bergkamp, so
yes.
We'll see how we go.
Bergkamp would be excellent. But I haven't played against Bergkamp, so I mean it'd be a difficult one to see how we could get that one on. But yes.
If anybody knows Dennis Bergkamp, please drop Marv social media, whatever it is. On a serious note,
Andrew loves Dennis Bergkamp. That's the real reason. Andrew loves Dennis Bergkamp.
Love him. On a serious note, thank you so much, everybody. And that was season 1, and that was our special episode, My Best 11 Pod. See you in a few weeks, guys.
Cheerio.